CDC never issued the Han alert. Oh no. Didn't their families do the thing? Did their kids do the thing? Do they want repercussions for that? Or are they just going to say, well, Big Pharma has us so bought off that we don't care?
It is simply no longer possible to believe much of the clinical research that is published or to rely on the judgment of trusted physicians or authoritative medical guidelines.
The Senate now digging into pandemic records, saying that what they've gotten from the current Biden administration has been appalling, said that they've demanded records of emails and other materials showing what actually happened, and they haven't gotten it. In fact, they've refused to give them materials they're entitled to. And we know the pandemic is over, but we're not done with it. There should be a full look back and assessment and an analysis on what happened, who got rich, who committed crimes, who exploited the American people, who did it for political reasons, and should there be repercussions for them? We want to look at the records. So does Senator Ron Johnson. And so this is what came out from the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee from the United States Senate. And there's some interesting documents in here, including some redactions that we'll take a look at. But here's what he wrote. To the Honorable Xavier Becerra, Health and Human Services, not for long. Now, the Honorable Robert Califf, FDA, and Dr. Mandy Cohen, Director of the CDC. So the Senate is saying, listen, all right, you punks, the lack of transparency from your agencies during the Biden presidency has been appalling. Your agency's refusal to provide complete and unredacted responses and documents to my numerous oversight letters on the development and the safety of the jabs has hindered Congress's oversight and jeopardized our public's health. So in addition to hiding relevant information from Congress, your agencies have applied heavy redactions to public documents that were released under FOIA requests. These redactions have made many of these public documents hard to understand and impossible to even read. Now, what is clear from these excessive redactions, however, is a concerted effort to obscure Congress's and the public's understanding of how these adverse events, such as those things, impact you. The following three examples highlight only a small fraction of communications and documents on these two conditions that your agencies continue to conceal. Now, heavily redacted reports on these conditions have been released, saying FOIA documents and public reporting indicate that in early 2021, the CDC received reports about situations where people were not doing well. By May 2021, heavily redacted documents revealed that then CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, remember her, got data from Pfizer regarding cases of heart problems, as well as an attachment of a document. She got a document. It says Appendix 3.7, Safety Evaluation of Mayo and Perry. The 14-page attachment is completely redacted, except for the cover page, which says that this report was prepared by biotech Pfizer. Isn't that fun? Partial email. So it says from redacted, sent to CDC Director. The attachment has the Israeli data included. It has all been sent to your team. Appendix 3.7, Safety Evaluation of those two conditions. Sent from my iPhone. Hey, Larry, this is the data for the thing. The cutoff date is today. Redacted, redacted, redacted. This is the number of events reported to the company as of today is blank. Blank are those types of cases. Redacted, redacted, redacted. Here's the number of cases received. January 21, February 21, March 21. Number of cases received. Did they tell anybody about it? I don't know. Here's the cover page. All right, so you see it's prepared for those two conditions. Says, now as a result of the redactions, it's unclear. What did Rochelle Walensky know? What did she know about those conditions associated with the jab? Now, shortly after she got the data on those two conditions, Walensky and other CDC officials contemplated, should we issue a warning to people about risks? In May, CDC officials had drafted a health alert network message called a HAN network message that would have warned the public about that. According to the CDC website, HAN is the CDC's primary method of sharing information about these things. It's like, wow, is this a danger? A partially redacted document shows that on May 23rd, then CDC Director Rochelle Walensky received a draft of the HAN message on that condition. The draft HAN cited in the FOIA document was not produced. Okay, so they're thinking, man, this data looks pretty bad. Like you can see the format here. They get this. Oh crap, Israeli data's in here too? Oh man, so this doesn't look good. So maybe we should like tell everybody about it so they know. Yeah, let's draft up a draft. Okay, great. So they've done that. Here's the draft on the condition advisory, 5/23/2021. She gets the draft warning. She says, great, sounds good. Thank you. R. Spent a lot of time on reviewing that. Perfect. We'll push it through. I think health advisory is redacted and redacted. Thank you. Will it be a full HAN? Will it be like a full alert or not? I'm fine with how this reads. I'm grateful. R. Yeah, this is the latest HAN. This is the latest alert. So then in May 25th, 2021, an email, a CDC official wrote to a redacted individual, reportedly a Pfizer or Moderna employee, and shared that there are ongoing discussion about the pros and cons of issuing a HAN, and that people don't want to appear alarmist. Oh no. So they have a draft. They're about to alert everybody about this. And then somebody from Pfizer called. Here's the letter. Regarding publication, this one came from YX04 at cdc.gov. From Sarah Elizabeth Oliver, Tuesday, May 25th. Sarah says, to so-and-so. I haven't heard plans from an MMWR yet. There's just not enough data yet, so an MMWR wouldn't make sense at this point. I would anticipate as we have additional data, more formal analysis, there may be an MMWR, but not right now. The pros and cons of an official HAN are what the main discussions are right now. I think it's likely to be a HAN since it is the CDC's primary method of communications to clinicians and public health departments, but people don't want to appear alarmist either. Now, I'm not trying to be vague on purpose. I really don't know. If I had to guess, I would think it's likely to be a HAN, but I can't say for sure yet. I anticipate there will be firm decisions within the next 24 hours, so I'll let you know. Okay, so this guy's like, what are you doing? What are you releasing? Is it an MMWR? Is it a HAN? Like, how many people are going to get notifications of this? It's like booster season, man. CDC never issued the HAN alert. Oh, no. They didn't issue it. According to public reports, that decision may have been influenced by the FDA. Instead, on May 28th, CDC published clinical considerations on its website. Can you just post it on your website rather than sending it to the instant messenger of every doctor in America? Can you just post it on your website that nobody will ever see? Or should you tell people about it? Saying that there was an increase in cases of those conditions have been reported after, but the CDC still continues to recommend it for everybody 12 and over. So follow your local CDC guidance. And of course, we're being careful here because our YouTube censors get all agitated when we say the words in this document. Saying starting in January 2024, though, following public reporting on the CDC's draft HAN alert, my office, says Senator Ron Johnson, requested the CDC provide all versions of the draft alert, all communications with the decision not to issue the HAN, and instead publish the clinical data and briefings on their website. Now, to date, the CDC has refused to cooperate with any of these requests. Why would they refuse to cooperate? Surely these are legitimate decisions. No, we didn't publish it because here's what we found. It's all documented. Here are the records. This is why. Why won't they show us those? What is in there that could possibly be a reason to not give us those documents? I think we know. So the White House talking points to Rochelle Walensky, Anthony Fauci, and Francis Collins is the following. It says, in late May 2021, as CDC officials reviewed Pfizer data on post-jab cases of those two conditions, and as CDC and FDA officials hesitated to issue a public alert about the risks, the Biden White House sent the U.S.'s top public health officials 17 pages of talking points for tough Q&A on COVID. So don't the people have a right to know? If the CDC was concerned enough that they drafted that response, doesn't that mean we should probably know that? But instead, they wanted to propagandize even more. On May 25th, Benjamin Wakana, the White House Deputy Director for Strategic Comms, emailed Rochelle Walensky, CDC, then NIAID Fauci. So Walensky, Fauci, and Francis Collins, they all get a document. Here's what it looks like. New topics include the new topics list. It's a 17-page memo from the White House COVID response team. Hi, please find the latest tough QA. New topics include this, and this. The redactions in this email and the attachment make it impossible to know what tough QA the Biden White House wanted Walensky, Fauci, and Collins to have on hand. Ultimately, despite your agency's awareness of the risks associated with the jabs, the main talking point from these and other officials was uniform and entirely deceptive. They said the thing, and we have questions about it. Now, for the last several years, Ron Johnson says, I've sent over 60 public letters to federal agencies on the jab regarding the origins, early treatment, the development, and the safety of the things. While your agencies have largely ignored or failed to fully cooperate with my oversight efforts, I can assure you that your obstruction will soon come to an end. You better believe it. Let's go, Senator. In the next Congress, when I become the chairman of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, any attempt by your agencies to withhold documents will be met with a subpoena. So get ready for it. And honestly, where are the Democrats on this? Like, don't the Democrats not want to drop dead from bad pharmaceuticals? Like, don't we all want to know when there are bad things out there, Republican or Democrat or not? Why would the Democrats in the Senate not be furious that they're not giving these documents over? Didn't their families do the thing? Did their kids do the thing? Do they want repercussions for that? Or are they just going to say, well, Big Pharma has us so bought off that we don't care, so only the Republicans care? What a joke. joke is this? Until then, my oversight work must continue, and once again, call on you to provide full and complete responses. I want an unredacted version of Enclosure 1. I want all versions of the draft Han and communications referring or relating to the drafting of the Han, the drafting of the clinical considerations on the thing, and decision not to release the Han, and an unredacted version as well. And I want an unredacted version of Enclosure 3. I also call on your agencies to immediately preserve all records referring or relating to the development of the jabs. Please provide the requested information no later than December 3rd of this year. And records means everything that you've ever touched or thought about. Signed, Ron Johnson, ranking member. So here are some of the things he's asking about, right? I want an unredacted version of this. This is the data for this thing. Cutoff date is today. It must not be good. Number of adverse events is this. As of today is blank. Blank are other types of cases, right? That is what prompted in all of the different countries, that is what prompted them to start to prepare a warning. And look at this. Redacted. This is all redacted. Page 430, redacted. Whole thing. Why is any person in America okay with this? Democrats included. Saying he wants this. Perfect. We'll push it through. I think health advisory so-and-so is good. Will it be a full Han? I'm fine with how this reads. I'm grateful. So she saw the data and even she's like, yeah, it sounds great. Then someone else came in. More redactions, more redactions. And same thing here. Hey, thanks. Apologies. There hasn't been more solid communication. Unfortunately, I still don't have a firm update. Things have been changing rapidly here. As we know more, I'll share. Hey, Sarah, here's this guy. From this guy. Says, hey, Sarah, I'm just checking in to see if you've decided, is it going to be an MMWR somewhere else? If you have any update on timing, let me know. We hope to send the CDC the report we're submitting to PRAC some other time. Many thanks. That must be a pharma bro. Draft is attached. This is still in clearance. Sharing it as a preview. More redactions. Then we get Enclosure 3. This is the Q&A. New topics include what? This bad thing, this bad thing, this bad thing. Everybody's talking about these bad things. You're going to address it? Yeah. All the conspiracy theories. And again, more pages just redacted. Look, page 35, B5 redactions. Whole thing. This is our transparent government. What is so complicated about showing us the data on public health measures? Are we going to be too educated about the good job that they're doing? They don't want us to know the truth about how efficient they are or something? It's a joke. And we're happy that Ron Johnson is not playing around. In fact, Ron Johnson with Nicole Shanahan, she has a podcast called Back to the People podcast. Sounds like a good one. And here's what Ron Johnson said when he was talking with her.
In order to make that a reality, I think you have to address three very fundamental problems. And I think the first fundamental problem is what President Eisenhower warned us about in his farewell address. It wasn't just about the military-industrial complex. He warned us about public funding of basic science and research and how that would corrupt basic science, and it has. And so when you take a look at, for example, Wiley academic publications, having to shut down 19 academic journals, retract more than 11,000 compromised studies. When we have the head of the editor-in-chief of the New England Journal of Medicine, I think her name is Marsha Angel, quit in 2020 and then start writing articles about the fact that, and I actually have the quote here, similar conflicts of interest and biases exist in virtually every field of medicine, particularly those that rely heavily on drugs or devices. It is simply no longer possible to believe much of the clinical research that is published or to rely on the judgment of trusted physicians or authoritative medical guidelines.
It's about as good as a Harvard thesis.
I take no pleasure in this conclusion, which I reached slowly and reluctantly over my 2 decades as an editor of the New England Journal of Medicine. Again, now, she resigned in 2020, I think, because of this. In the year 2000, that's 24 years ago. We are seeing in, I think, Nature magazine in May of 2016, they published an article, a study that said 70% of studies could not be reproduced. So
it's just made up.
We've seen the corruption of medical research.
Trust
That's
the
the real
science.
problem.
Yeah.
I'd say another fundamental problem is pharmaceutical advertising. Again, I'm a private sector guy. I believe in free speech. When I've seen what that did to corrupt the process. Again, you look at any pharmaceutical advertisement, there's no way you take that drug based on all the side effects they start labeling. They don't tell them all. Okay, so the only reason they advertise is to be able to capture the narrative like they captured it during COVID. I mean, that's a real problem. That's a fundamental problem that has to be addressed. And then I think that the third fundamental is the fact that vaccines have no liability whatsoever. They're completely protected from any kind of liability, which is why drug companies just love vaccines and why the number of vaccines we give children are over 80 doses now versus 3 doses that Bobby and I got when we were young. So again, to me, those are 3 fundamental problems. The powers that be are going to be dragged kicking and screaming to reforming that. I think that's the real threat that Bobby poses to those companies is they like the protection they have. They like the situation they're in.
Yeah, they
like
make
the
billions.
fact that they're the ones that pay for the science that drives whether or not their drugs get used or their pesticides get used or their products get used. They don't want an independent look at that.
Yeah, Ron Johnson has been a real hero on this issue, and I'm glad to see that he is keeping the pressure on these folks because they'll be in charge soon. And if they do not comply, those subpoenas should fly.